What is up, everybody? What is up? Give me 1 second. This is the typical stream tradition. The first few seconds, I just make sure that the stream is actually up and running. Just give me 1 second, guys. I think that it is. Yeah, it looks like it is. Looks like it is. Kona, what's up, bro? Welcome to the stream. Snailium, Suf, what is up, everybody? What is up? How is everybody doing? It is another late night live stream. Suf, what is up? What is up, everyone? It's another late night live stream. Love One Piece forever. More One Piece, more. I'll do more One Piece streams in the future too, and more One Piece stuff too. More One Piece lore is what you were saying. Oh, okay. Yeah, we will do more of those in the future too. But what's up, everybody? Charlotte Katakuri, what is up, bro? Today we are going to be power scaling Kite and Feitan and talking about like who would be more likely to win in a fight between these guys. Are you guys all able to hear me well? Is the audio good? Everything sounds good to you guys? Dova, what's up, bro? Doing good, man. I'm doing good. How are you doing? Let me know if you guys are able to hear me pretty well, and we will get started. So, let's see. Okay, yeah. So the way we're gonna do this one, it's pretty similar to like some of my past live streams. I have like a set of all these power scaling points. I'm gonna go through each of these, and then we're going to have like an open debate on like all the stuff that I talked about, and then we'll go over and look at like the community poll I did for this too, and see what people were saying. Suf said everything's good. Snailium said everything sounds good, Dova. Okay, cool. Cool, awesome. So yeah, if you guys leave comments as I'm going through these slides and these power scaling points and I don't see them right away, don't feel bad, because once we finish like all the power scaling stuff, I'm going to read through all of the comments, or at least most of them, during the debate portion. Okay, so yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so to start off, to start this video off, right, one of the big things I wanted to talk about is En and how it's portrayed in the anime versus how it's portrayed in the manga. So it's the same, it's an advanced Nen technique where you're combining Ten and Ren together, and you use it to like sense different things that are a distance away from you. In the anime, we get a little bit more in-depth explanation than what the manga gives us. They're very similar explanations, but the anime like has this conversation between Gon and Killua about Kite's end specifically, and goes into more detail than the manga. So in the anime, there's this scene where they say that, well, and Kite has the same radius in both, but let me just start with the anime one, and then we'll go to the manga and talk about the differences. But basically, in the anime, they state that Kite has an N radius of 45 meters. And then Killua straight up says that, to like being a Nen master, Nen masters can go to 50 meters with their N. So one way of interpreting this is that all Nen masters have at least a 50 meter N radius. Basically, like having a 50 meter N radius is a prerequisite to be a official real Nen master, according to this anime explanation. Then Killua goes into more detail, and he's like, you know what? Kite's actually been using N for the entire night. The anime specifically says that he's using it to track down Liol. Liol is like the squadron leader lion dude. Morel ends up fighting him later in the arc. And Morel kills him actually later in the arc. But yeah, at the start of Chimera Ant arc, Kite is tracking down Liol using N, and that's specifically stated that he did that the entirety of the night. And because he was able to maintain a radius of 45 meters for an entire night, that means he's probably stronger than a Nen master who can like just hit 50 meters. And the manga gives a little bit more explanation onto like the bare minimum prerequisite of mastering N, or to qualify as N. Wait, let me see if I have that panel here. Oh no, it isn't. So it's during the scene where Killua is like trying to use his own like baby-fied version of N. And I believe the translation that the manga says is that You need to have at least a radius of something like 2 meters, and you need to be able to maintain it for 1 minute. It's some measurement like that. It's like 1 meter for 2 minutes, or like 2 meters for 1 minute. It's one or the other. That's like the bare minimum bottom requirement to qualify as using N, and then Nen Masters can go up to 50 meters and hold it for like extended periods of time. But anyway, this scene in the anime is really interesting because it's straight up saying that Kite is not only a Nen Master, he's actually stronger than a Nen Master. Okay, and they just have like dialogue talking about that. Okay, and yeah, and this is like what I was saying earlier. He's been using it the entire night, and he never lost Leol for an instant. And like his N is the reason they knew where to go in order to find Leol in the anime. Now, in the manga, there's some slight differences with the Kite's end scene. Like, it's literally all the exact same things happening, but some of the finer details are like implied rather than just straight up stated. So let me just talk about it. So Kite actually uses N as soon as they fight the centipede and that like mosquito chimera ant. The one Gon and Killua like fight. Gon chops one in half and Killua like rips the other one's head off. In the manga, it's explained that Kite was already using N to be able to find those guys. And Kite is the one himself who says that his N radius is 45 meters, and it varies 2 to 3. So, like, at max, it can be about 48 meters, and at lowest, it would be 42 at max. Max to min, right? That varies depending on his physical and mental condition. But yeah, this is stated like right at the start of the Chimera Ant arc, a little earlier. And we never get a piece of dialogue saying that Kite used N the entire night to track Leol. It's more just implied because in the manga, there's multiple instances where Kite notices things well. Kite notices things well before Gon and Killua do. Like, so him using N for the first time, that's like what he's doing. He's like, hey, there's he's talking about enemies that are not within eyesight that Gon and Killua haven't noticed, and then Killua was like, oh, he's using N. Then it happens again later in the arc, when they get surrounded by all of these officers. Kite points it out before like Gon and Killua notice it. It's like implying that he's still using N here. And then like the most infamous N scene would be Kite sensing Pitou well before Gon and Killua even knew what was going on. So it's like, it's more implied in the manga, but it's essentially like the same thing is happening. And then also there's like a panel, I don't think I added it to the slide, but like there is a panel where they actually like catch up to Leol. Kite, Gon, and Killua catch up to Leol. So like them catching up to Leol like implies that Kite was tracking them with N the entire time in the manga too. It's just the anime goes into more detail with it. Okay, like it's the same things happening, but the anime just explicitly explains it more. Okay, now we have in the manga, in the Succession War, we get like really interesting N scaling for the Phantom Troop. Like it goes into detail about like certain Phantom Troop members that can use N, and this gives us an idea of like how powerful they are overall. So first, let's start with Nobunaga. So in the manga, it states that Nobunaga's N maximum radius is only 4 meters, bro. Like, it's actually trash. Like, when I read this, I was actually shocked by it. But Nobunaga himself, in any manga translation you read, he straight up says that 4 meters is the limit of his N radius. Meanwhile, like, Kite's was 45 to 48 meters. And in the anime, it's implied that he could do like more than 50 in the anime, which is pretty crazy. That's a huge difference. So something that I've seen people say though is since we don't have, where is it? This line of dialogue from Killua, this is like purely in the anime, where Killua straight up says that Nen Masters can handle around 50 meters. The manga, the closest thing we have to that is this right here, where Nobunaga uses N for the first time, and he's stating that like you can read it right here. It says a true master can detect things 50 meters away using N. But I've seen people debate like maybe in the manga this just means a master of the N technique. But in the anime, it's like very specifically stating like a Nen master. This is a prerequisite for a Nen master, but I've seen people say that in the manga it's debatable. Maybe you can be a Nen master in the manga without having a 50-meter radius N, just because it says a true master instead of saying a Nen master. I've seen people debate that. So that's just something like to keep in mind. It's like kind of up to interpretation in the manga a little bit. But the anime, it's like straightforward. It's like, no, Nen masters, they have a 50-meter radius N. And if you don't have that, you're not a Nen master yet. It's like straight up, not really debatable in the anime. But in the manga, this line, because it says a true master rather than a Nen master, I've seen people debate, maybe they just mean a master of the N technique. And you could still be a Nen master without mastering N. I've seen people debate that. Let me know what you guys think on that. Okay? But yeah, this is Nobunaga straight up saying his N can only go 4 meters, which is pretty garbage. Then we have in the Succession War, Finks and Feitan are talking about N. They're trying to send something that is 100 to 200 meters away. And Feitan says this would be easier to find them if we just use your N, Finks. Okay, and then Finks goes ahead and says, like, that's a dumb idea because I'm straight up not good at N. Like, this is Finks himself just saying he's not even good at the N ability. He can use N, but he's not good at it. Then he goes into more detail by what he means by him not being good at it. He says his N gets interrupted when someone talks, or when something moves, or when he moves. Okay, so like he has very basic level N. Meanwhile, we look at Kite doing all of those things. Like, so Fink says, like, if someone talks to him, or if something moves, or if he moves, all three of those things break his N. Meanwhile, in the anime, we straight up see Kite doing all of these things. He's walking, talking, fighting, doing a bunch of stuff casually while maintaining N. And then we see him doing this here too in the manga. He's like, bro, there's enemies coming up here. Kilo was asking him questions. He's still like giving him details. People are moving around. He can still sense them. So it's like in the manga, well, let me put it like this. In the anime, Kite is in a completely different tier of like skill with N compared to these Phantom Troupe members, which are some of the strongest members in the Phantom Troupe. And in the manga, it's still pretty objective that like Kite's N is better than Fink's, Feitan's, and Nobunaga. Feitan himself, according to like what Finks is saying, Feitan himself might not even understand the basics of what N does. Like, let me word that better. Feitan's N is likely worse than Finks's, and Finks himself says he's not good at it. Because if Feitan's N was better than Finks's, then Feitan would just like use N himself. He wouldn't say, hey, Finks, let's use yours. If he was better at N than Finks is, Feitan would just use his own. Okay, so it's like, based off of the anime interpretation, this straight up means that Feitan, Finks, and Nobunaga, none of them are Nen masters. Based off of the anime interpretation. That's one way you could view it. Because like Finks himself says he's not even good at N. Feitan's worse than him, and then Nobunaga's N is only 4 meters. So like none of these three would be Nen masters based on the anime definition of like what a Nen master is. They're still very powerful, but just like they have advanced techniques they haven't learned yet. And there's still some mysteries around N. We haven't, like, because essentially like the abilities we learn the most about are the ones that Gon and Killua use, because like they're like the main characters. Once Gon and Killua learn N, we're gonna get like more details on what it does, but yeah, this is kind of like all the information we have at the moment. Another way you could, like, if you wanted to highball the Phantom Troupe, one way you could view this scene, and let me know what you guys think about this interpretation. I personally don't think this is an accurate interpretation, but one way you could view this scene is maybe Finks, under perfect conditions, if he's standing perfectly still in an empty area where no one's moving, he can extend his N up to 100 or 200 meters just doing that. But it's like, the reason why I think that's unlikely is because Finks himself says he's not good at N, and to do this bare minimum, to do half of 100, you need to be a master. So I don't think someone who could, like, reach double a master's radius would call himself not good at it. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that interpretation. But the way I view this, like a middle ball interpretation of all of this, is that these three are not Nen masters. Let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know what you guys think about that. And I will just keep going. And this is just a more detailed explanation of what N is. It's just Ten and Ren combined, and it's like the advanced version of that. Okay. And if you guys have any questions on any of the stuff I just said, or like any points that you disagree with, please leave them in the comments, because I will come back to this these comments for sure and read through them. Because now we're going to get into like power scaling, like how strong is Kite exactly, and then power scaling how strong Feitan is exactly. Any questions before I get into that like power scaling part, or anything you disagree with the N scaling specifically? Okay, I don't see anything like on the N scaling yet, so I will continue. And yeah, and I only have like I think maybe 10 slides left, and once we finish that, we'll have like the big debate portion where I'll read any debate questions you have. So yeah, and if you have a question, please do like put a question mark at the end, just so it'll be easier for me to find it. Oh, Snailium said, have we seen Kurapika use N? No, but he's knowledgeable of it. Like in the Succession War, he sees this one dude, and Kurapika's he instantly says like, this dude's using N like over the entire room that we're in. He's very skilled. Like Kurapika like automatically knew that. So we haven't seen Kurapika use it, but he might know it. He might. Okay. Enslaved Manga said, Uvo didn't use N and slapped fools. Yeah, you can still be really powerful without N. Yeah, you can still be really powerful without N. And this is where it gets into debatable category, right? Like, we don't know if Uvo didn't have N. He might have had it, but just not used it. That's one way to interpret it. And another thing is like Uvo calls himself a master enhancer. So, I mean, like I said, we don't really know if Uvo had N or not, because Uvo never says like, oh, I'm bad at N. He never says that like the way Finks does. But this would open up a different argument. Can you be a master in your category without being an overall Nen master? Because Uvo called himself a master enhancer. Can you be a master enhancer and not be a Nen master? Like, you're just really, really good at enhancing things, but like all the other aspects of Nen, you're not a master at? That is like an interesting question to ask. But okay, let me get into this Kite scaling, and then I'll come back and answer like the other questions later. Enslaved Manga, you said love all your stuff. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. But let's keep going, okay? So Kite's power, his Nen type, I believe he's a conjurer, based on him just like spawning the crazy slot ability. He might be a conjurer mixed with something else, like a conjurer. Well, his Hatsu ability might be conjuration mixed with something like transmutation, just because of like how wide the variety of powers are. But let's just talk about it. So it's like he has 9 different weapons that spawn at random, and he can't change the weapon until he's used it at least one time. But something that's interesting, if you analyze like the weapons we saw him use, he used 3 different weapons, but each time he used one, it matched the scenario he was in perfectly. Like, so when he was in a 1v1 fight, he spawned the like sniper rifle and sniped the dude. When he was in a situation where he was surrounded by enemies, he spawned the Scythe, which gave him a wide range attack. And then when he was in a 1v1 fight against Pitou, where he knew he would die, he spawned the ability that lets him reincarnate himself. So the abilities vary in power a lot, and something that I've never really seen people talk about is every time he got... so let me put it like this. The weapons spawning at random, that is like a conditional Nen ability. Like, that's a limitation that would give him more power, like how they're spawning at random. But it seems like it's not entirely random. It seems like it matches the scenario or mood that he's in. Either that or Kite just gets really lucky, or all of his weapons are just really strong, so it doesn't really matter which one he spawns. He can beat most people with them anyway. Another interpretation of it is no matter what he spawned, he said it was a bad spin. He might have one weapon that he would call a good spin, and it would be like exponentially stronger than this Scythe, exponentially stronger than all these other things, because we only saw 3 out of the 9. And even the one that like reincarnated him, he said that's a bad spin too. So, and like the scaling, the stuff he did with these things that he considered bad spins are crazy. Especially against Pitou. He was one arm against Pitou and still damaged Pitou a little bit. And Killua has a line of dialogue where he says the only reason Kite lost an arm was because like Gon and Killua were there. He like was pushing them out of the way. If Gon and Killua weren't there, he never would have lost an arm, and he would have done even better against Pitou. But let's keep going, okay? So, Kite, throughout the entire Chimera Ant arc, was low-diffing squadron leaders and officers like they were fodder. Like, just destroying them. And there's a big difference between squadron leader and officer and peon ants. We'll get into that. So, like... And I want to do a live stream where I rank all the Chimera Ants too, so I'll probably go more in detail into Chimera Ant scaling during that stuff. But, like, this is just a general introduction to Chimera Ant scaling. So you see here, it's like Queen, Royal Guard. From here down is based on power. Like Royal Guard, Squadron Leader, Officer, and then Peon Ants. So Squadron Leader and Officers can learn Nen. Royal Guards are born with Nen. Royal Guards are born with Nen, basically Nen Masters. Squadron Leaders and Officers can see Nen, but they can't use it right away. Unless they become awakened, like the way Ramot was awakened. Like all of these squadron leaders and officers got awakened to Nen using the fast method, where you get like hit by aura and then you just like learn Nen from there. And they all seem to have a very fast learning speed, like a genius level learning speed when it comes to Nen. Like a lot of them get the basics down instantly at like Gon and Killua levels. But anyway, the Peon Ants cannot see Nen and cannot acquire it either. And this is like stated by Pitou. Like when they're having the ceremony to give Nen to the ants, the only ones that get Nen are the squadron leaders and officers. They don't ask the Peon Ants because the Peon Ants cannot even see the aura. So they just like view them as like garbage. They can't do it. So that's one way you can tell like what rank officer ants are after the Gon and Killua Ramot first fight. Any ant that's using Nen, you know that they're at least an officer. And then based on their characteristic traits, you get an idea of if they're an officer or a squadron leader. So like squadron leaders have certain tendencies. Like all of the squadron leaders, they wanted to become kings themselves. Even before learning Nen, all the squadron leaders just naturally wanted to become kings or queens. Like that's what Zazan was doing. She was trying to become the queen of her own tower. This dude was doing that too. He wanted to be a king. Leol was constantly talking about how he wanted to be a king. Pitou called himself the Speed King. Like all the squadron leaders called themselves kings or queens. And then also the officers, stated by Leol, officers do not like work well together in teams. Like they don't listen to each other. Officers do not take orders from other officers. They'll just like fight with each other or like argue. But they will listen to the squadron leaders that are stronger than them. So Yunju, we don't get it outright stated that it's this like dude. Kite one-shots this guy. It's not outright stated that he's a squadron leader, but he does fit all of the squadron leader tendencies. Like, he's trying to become the king of this like NGL area, and then he has he has these 2 officer ants that are listening to him, taking his orders. And like this one, he's just straight up scared of Yunju. He's like, bro, if I don't listen to him, he'll just murk me. So, and then the wiki, I don't really like using the wiki because you never really know if it's right or wrong. I think overall does a pretty good job. But the wiki does have him listed as a squadron leader too. Okay. Isaiah said, what? So the Chimera Ant Shalnark went against was not a peon. So the first one Shalnark fought was a peon, but the one who was manipulating that ant was at least an officer. If that makes sense. Because the ant Shalnark fought had a Hatsu ability. And he was like controlling a peon ant like a puppet. Okay. Jotaro said, when did Kite damage Pitou? I don't think I have the panel here, but if you go to chapter 198 and you like look at the panel, you can see Pitou has cuts, like Pitou's face has cuts on it and is bleeding a little bit. So it shows like Kite did slight damage, just a tiny bit, even with one arm. But to also be fair, Pitou didn't have a Hatsu ability yet. So, like, Kite was just straight up fighting Pitou with no Hatsu ability. And I actually have a panel, like, analyzing it a little bit. Like, Kite actually fought Pitou for a little while without dying. But I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, this is Kite low diffing that same squadron leader. But it should be noted that, like, later into the arc, all of the squadron leaders and officers get a lot stronger because they learn Nen. But it's like, even at the start, they were strong. Even at the start, squadron leaders were strong, but they were fodder compared to Kite. Okay. Oh, yeah, and this was the panel I was just talking about. So, like, Kite, he fights Pitou with one arm long enough for Gon and Killua to run away. Despite knowing, like, how fast Pitou was, like, Kite fought Pitou long enough for them to completely escape. Which is something, like, I don't really see people talk about. Like, he held off Pitou for a while with just one arm and damaged Pitou a little bit. And then the other thing Killua says is Kite with just one arm was stronger than Gon and Killua working together. And he also says it right here that if Kite was by himself, this would not have happened. He would not have lost an arm if he was by himself. Okay. And then, yeah, this is Kite's hidden power, that he can reincarnate himself. And this also shows, like Jing says that he taught Kite, Jing says he taught Kite everything he knows about Nen, which is fascinating to think about. Like, the same way Bisky was Gon and Killua's Nen master, Jing was Kite's Nen master in that same format, most likely. And, like, was there while Kite was forming his Hatsu abilities, which is really interesting to think about. Like, that's the same thing Bisky was doing with Gon and Killua, like, was with them while they formed their Hatsus. But, he says when he really doesn't want to die, that's when the third slot comes up that reincarnates him. So it shows, like, even though the ability seems random, it's somewhat dependent on his emotions. Somewhat connected to them. Okay. And then just an interesting thing is, like, when Kite reincarnated, he kept all of his memories too, because he's like talking about Jing, he's talking about Killua, he remembers Pitou. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Okay, so now I'm just going to get into the part where we're just scaling Feitan, and then we'll finish it up with, like, the final analysis here. So we see Feitan fighting a squadron leader, Zazan. Now Zazan is much stronger than Yunju. This dude here that Kite one-shot, and like, they're both the same rank. They're both squadron leaders, right? But Zazan's much stronger. And a big part of that is because Zazan has Nen, while Yunju did not have Nen yet. But something to, like, just a few things to point out. Base form Zazan is a lot stronger than Kaluto. Like, base form Zazan was fighting a rusty Feitan, while Feitan's not using his Hatsu abilities. and they're moving at speeds and like doing crazy things that Kaluto can't even like comprehend. So this is there to show us that just base form Zazan is very powerful and already stronger than Kaluto. But Feitan was rusty at the start of the fight. And as the fight progresses, he's like warming up more and like getting back into the groove of things, basically. And as he's getting warmed up more, he just starts overwhelming base form Zazan. Like, that's what this panel is showing us, that like she went from fighting him evenly to like not even being able to keep up with him anymore. And she's like saying that herself. She's like, he's getting faster as the fight goes on. And like after he lands this attack on her, she gets angry and goes like into her transformed state. Okay. And then, you know, for people who like don't remember the fight all the way, Feitan goes into Ko the moment she transforms, and she takes advantage of that by like flinging some aura at him. It does a bunch of damage, and then she breaks one of his arms. Then he uses Pain Packer. Okay, so just a few interesting things about Pain Packer. It has different forms. According to Finks, he has different forms of it, and it has a wide range, and it's activated by rage. Okay, so we don't get to see all the different forms of Pain Packer, but one thing we see here from Zazan is that just him putting on this armor makes him stronger too. Like, makes him stronger than the Feitan that was like starting to blitz her. He's stronger than that, just putting on this suit. So he might be able to like fight with this suit on and like perform at a higher level than what he was doing before. It might boost his defense too. It definitely boosts his heat resistance because he's not burned by this heat at all, but it one-shot Zazan. And something that should be pointed out is Zazan's durability is insanely cracked. Like, Finks used Ko and it just broke off of her back. Like, he put Ko into a sword, tried to stab her with it, and it just broke off of her, like, armor, which is an insane durability feat. We really haven't seen, like, anyone else do that, because Ko is where you put, like, all of your aura into one attack at the risk of, like, making yourself vulnerable, and it did nothing. We don't even know if she, like, used aura to defend against that. That could have just been her, like, raw armor is that strong that like Feitan, someone high level like Feitan using Ko still couldn't break through it, which is nuts. But then it shows like how strong his Hatsu ability is because it instantly just like one-shots her. The same character that could tank Ko without even feeling it gets one shot by Pain Packer. Okay, so yeah, that's my last panel. So here's my overall analysis of it. Pain Packer is really like Feitan's only win condition against Kite. Based off of the anime interpretation, I'll just word it like this. Based off of the anime interpretation of the characters, Kite is stronger than a Nen Master. Meanwhile, Feitan might not even know how to use En at a basic level. Meaning Kite would be a significantly more skilled Nen user, and overall would be more likely to win in a fight against Feitan than Feitan would be likely to win against Kite. Because in Nen battles, it's not like just plain and simple black and white, this guy's obviously stronger than the other most of the time. It's based on a bunch of different factors like total aura capacity, how much experience you have, your skill as a Nen user. It's a list of different things, but based off of the anime interpretation, Kite is stronger than a Nen Master. Meanwhile, Feitan might not even be a Nen Master yet. He's a very powerful Nen user, but might not even qualify as a Nen Master. He legit might have En like relative to Nobunaga, or possibly worse than Nobunaga. Nobunaga's En was only 4 meters, and Finks said he's not good at En, like struggles, can't even use it while moving. Can't use it while other people are moving. It's like his En is pretty much useless. Like Finks might have worse En than freaking Nobunaga, and Feitan has worse En than Finks. So based on that, it's like, based on the anime interpretation, it's just objectively like Kite is narratively stronger as a Nen user than Feitan is. And in the manga, it's a little bit more debatable because of this translation right here, where it says a true master has an N radius of 50 meters. It doesn't say a Nen master, so I've seen some people debate that maybe you can be a master. Maybe you can be a Nen master without mastering N. I've seen people debate that. So if you go with that interpretation, then it's like it's a much closer fight, but it still shows that like Kite is significantly more skilled at an advanced Nen technique. So like that alone implies like more skill with Nen overall, but it becomes more debatable if you just use the manga definitions and manga translations of things. So like I would put it like this: based on the anime interpretation, Kite is objectively a stronger Nen user, just objectively. But based on the manga interpretation, it's debatable who's the stronger Nen user overall, even though like Kite has a wider range of skills. Now, Feitan's win condition, though, like, they're close enough in power that Feitan does have the ability to kill Kite if he lands Painpacker. But something that should be noted is, like, Finks and Kaluto, like, the entire Phantom Troop is able to run away from Painpacker and avoid it, even though it has a wide range. They all avoid it. A counter argument to that, though, is, like, Feitan wasn't aiming it at them. Maybe Feitan could do something where he like restricts his opponent's movement. Like maybe he could like hold on to Kite and then fire Painpacker. Maybe he could do something like that. That's possible. Maybe Painpacker could chase people. These are just like hypothetical maybes. But in the manga, he just shoots it into the sky. It stays in the sky and then just like burns from there. But maybe if like his opponent was running away, it would chase them. We don't know. We don't know. But from what we've seen, it's an avoidable attack. And Feitan hasn't really displayed anything to stop people from avoiding it. Yeah. Oh, and it should be noted, like, they started running, like, as he started activating it. So, yeah, that's another thing to consider. It would be interesting to see, like, what his durability stats are with the armor on, too. But, like, you know, we're dealing with limited information. But, yeah, to just summarize everything up, I would say that based on the anime interpretation, Kite is just straight up stronger. He's stronger than a Nen Master, while Feitan is not even a Nen Master yet. He's just a powerful Nen user. Or at least, let me word it like this. Kite in the anime is confirmed stronger than a Nen Master, and Feitan is heavily implied to not even be a Nen Master yet, based on the anime. Meaning, like, Kite would be more likely to win in the anime. Even though they both have win conditions over each other, Kite would be more likely to win. And then in the manga, it's much closer, but Kite still displays more skill with Nen. He's a more, like, still displays that he's a more skilled Nen user. And based on that, I would lean more towards Kite being slightly more likely to win, even in the manga interpretation of, like, lowballing the N feats to the max and, like, essentially saying N doesn't determine if you're a Nen Master or not. I would still lean more towards Kite because he's just displaying more skill with Nen than Feitan has. And yeah, and it's like if I were being cheap about it, I would say, like, they both fought squadron leaders and Kite's one-shotting them, but that's a very unfair comparison because, like, the squadron leaders that Kite fought were way weaker. They didn't have Nen yet. But yeah, that's kind of my stance on it. So I'm going to go over to the community poll, and then we can have this, like, live debate portion where I'll look at all your guys' questions. Let's look at this. Okay, so yeah, based on the poll, like, people were agreeing with that take, essentially. Now, I'm going to look through your guys' questions in the chat, and, well, there's a lot of them. So I'm going to look through your guys' questions in the chat and just start, like, replying to those, and then after I've read a few from the chat, then we'll look at, like, these comments in the community poll too, okay? So, what did you guys think about that? Do you disagree with anything? Let me know what you guys think. Anything that you disagree with. I'm just looking at the first newest ones first, and then I'm going to scroll up. So Bragg said, yeah, you've convinced me. Robert said, quick question. Is it possible Nobunaga's 4-meter end radius is a self-imposed restriction for his Hatsu? That's a good question. Let's look back at the panel. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's impossible, but like based on this translation, he straight up says 4 meters is good enough for me. That's my limit anyway. Yeah. I mean, it's not impossible that he like self-imposed it, but I think if it was self-imposed, he would say something about that. Like for example, if he said that's the limit I chose anyway, then I would be more inclined to believe it. But like he's just straight up saying, 4 meters is my limit. But that's a good question though. I mean, it's definitely up for debate. Let's see. Colin said, even though Kite may be considered as a better Nen user, I think Feitan is more geared to combat. I would disagree because I don't think Feitan with one arm is pulling off. Well, actually, this is an interesting thing to think about. How would one arm Feitan do against Pitou? Would Feitan be able to hold off Pitou for as long as Kite did, for long enough for Gon and Killua to escape? I think maybe. I think Pitou would be interested in just seeing what Painpacker is. How do you guys think Pitou would react to Painpacker? Do you think Pitou would just tank it without getting hurt by the flames? I think that's actually a really interesting thing to think about. Like, what if you swapped... another thing to think about is, imagine if you just swapped Kite with Feitan for the entire Chimera Ant mission that, Gon and Killua went on. Do you think Feitan would have been able to just one-shot, that entire forest of officer ants the way that Kite did? I personally don't think he would. Not without Painpacker. But Kite just does stuff like that casually. And it's you also have to consider, Kite never once said he had a good spin despite doing all these crazy things. Colin, you think that he would last longer than Kite due to how his abilities work? It would be interesting. If you just replaced Kite with Feitan and had him fight Pitou in the forest, Feitan's definitely dying too. The question is, how would Painpacker react? How would Pitou react to Painpacker? Do you think, if your aura is high enough, it would give you heat resistance too? I mean, it kind of... I don't know. I mean, Feitan was not affected by the heat, wearing his, Nen armor. Feitan wasn't affected by it. So I think Pitou wouldn't be either, because Pitou's aura is just, in a completely different stratosphere than Feitan's. I don't know. But it's definitely interesting to think about. But let me keep going. I'm going to scroll up a little bit here. I'll scroll up a lot, actually. And let's see. I'm looking for any, question mark questions. K Dizzy said Feitan stomps. Kona said, if the anime original content doesn't contradict anything from the manga, it should be considered canon. Yeah, I think in a few places, when it comes to the Hunter x Hunter 2011 anime, I genuinely just think it's a better adaptation than the manga is in a lot of instances. I mean, obviously the art is better, but and it has music and things like that, but it just seems like a better interpretation of the same story. I don't know. That might be a hot take. I don't know. I like how the anime goes more in detail on certain things. It seems like it's just trying to tell the exact same story and kind of cover some of the blind spots. I like how they had Gon and Killua explain that the reason they found Leol was because Kite was using N the entire time. But in the manga, it's just implied that's how they found him. They were just walking in the woods, and then the next thing you know, they're just in front of Leol. But the anime straight up says like the reason they're finding him is because Kite's using En the whole time. I liked stuff like that. Crawler said Kite's shown weapons one-shot most opponents. That's true. That's true. Like a good question is like, could Feitan even tank the scythe? Like if Kite just like draws that scythe, could Feitan even take that? Like if he gets hit by that, would he just die in one shot? It's not that easy to dodge. But to be fair, Gon and Killua did jump over it, but they were warned before. Like he told them to jump over it. All the other officer ants like looked at him spawn it, and it was so fast they couldn't react to it. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going through. Enslaved Manga said, if En is all sensitivity to the surroundings, how does this really factor into just throwing hands? That's a good question. It's just showing like, so in the anime, it's straight up stated that like your En radius being 50 meters is something that Nen masters can do. Like, so if you can't do that, by definition, you're not a Nen master. And then we get like even more interesting scaling where we see characters like Zeno states that his En like max radius is 300 meters. So that lets you know that like, okay, Zeno is like about 6 times stronger than a Nen master. So stuff like that is interesting. And you could also just put it like, it just kind of shows you how skilled someone is with advanced Nen applications. But like I was saying earlier, because Gon and Killua haven't even learned En yet, we haven't gotten super detailed explanations on it. Like a similar thing happened with Ken and Ryu. We didn't fully learn like what Ken and Ryu really did until Gon and Killua learned them. So in later arcs, if Gon and Killua learn En, we'll probably get deeper explanations as to how En would affect other abilities, if it does at all. But basically in the anime, it's just straight up stated like, if you can't do that, like you're not really a Nen master. Nen masters can do that. Okay, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. Isaiah said, Lilo's, why are you still awake? Yeah, bro, I'm always doing these late night streams, man. I'm also on spring break right now, so I'm probably gonna do like my fair share of these late night ones. AI Analysis said Kite obliterates Feitan badly. And using this line of scaling gets Knuckle above most of the troop. I wanted to do a tier list for this, but the way I would have Feitan scaled, I would have Feitan above Knuckle and Shoot, but below Kite. That's like where I would have him. Like maybe Finks would be right there too. Like above Knuckle and Shoot, and that's debatable. Finks versus Knuckle would be a good fight, but like they'd actually be a really good matchup for each other. But I think I would have Finks and Feitan above Knuckle and Shoot, but both of them below Kite. And Nobunaga probably in that same area. Like, so I would probably have Nobunaga, Finks, and Feitan, all 3 of them above Knuckle and Shoot, but all 3 of them below Kite. That's where I would have it. Have that. And also, Morel is like relative to Feitan, Finks, and Nobunaga. Morel is like that same tier of fighter, basically. Like that's actually a really good way of putting it. I think like Finks, Feitan, and Nobunaga are all like Morel level. Like overall about as strong as Morel is. Maybe slightly stronger than Morel. And also it's like that becomes even another way of looking at it is like Morel actually has way more impressive feats against squadron leaders than Feitan does. Like Morel beats multiple squadron leaders while at like 30% power without getting hurt at all. And it would be interesting to see how Morel would fight a powerhouse character like how Morel would fight somebody like Zazan would be really interesting. Because like Morel tends to just outsmart his opponents and like trick them and stuff. So it would be interesting to see how he would fight somebody like Zazan. But he could definitely like think of ways to beat Zazan for sure, just like big brain beating Zazan. But it would be just interesting to see like where Morel's physical abilities scale to, like how fast is Morel actually, how physically strong is he actually. That would be interesting to see because he really never fights people like that. Okay, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. Crowler said the Troupe outrun the Paint Packer though. Yep, and we did speak about that earlier. This is just me like being late to reading that comment. Dova said that just doesn't go along with the portrayal of the Phantom Troupe's end skill. Yeah, and like there's different ways of interpreting it, right? Like one thing I was saying earlier is maybe you can be a master at your like Hatsu Nen category, but not be an overall Nen master, because like the term Nen master doesn't get like deeply defined. We just know that like the top tiers are Nen masters, like people like Jing, people like Netero, probably every Zodiac member, like they're implied to all be Nen masters, right? But and then the only thing we get like as a prerequisite for being a Nen master is in the anime where they say like Nen masters have 50-meter end radius. But one thing I was saying is like maybe like some, like for example, Uvogin is a master enhancer. We don't know like what his N was like. We have no idea. There's no statements on it that I'm aware of. But what if, like this is a hypothetical. What if you could be a like master enhancer, like your Hatsu ability with your enhancement is super strong, but you are not a Nen master overall still. Like you don't know how to use like certain advanced techniques like N. That's one way of like viewing things. But basically, like based off of the anime interpretation, the Phantom Troupe are like extremely powerful. They have a lot of battle experience, but Finks, Feitan, and Nobunaga are not Nen masters based on the anime. Okay, Lenny, what's up, bro? Sorry I didn't see your message earlier, man. What's up, Lenny? How are you doing, bro? Sorry that took me so long to read that. Kona said, so Kite is a master among masters. According to the anime, like he's stronger than a master. And according to the manga, that's more like open to interpretation. I'm just scrolling through the comments looking for like questions. Isaiah said, who do you think is stronger, Hisoka or Bisky? And then Silva versus Zeno. So, Hisoka or Bisky is really close, but I would lean more towards Hisoka. Just because of like his nature. Like Hisoka's entire thing is like giving Nen masters like all the advantages possible and then just beating them anyway and doing that repeatedly. I would say if they fight without Hatsu, Bisky is probably like considerably stronger if they fight without Hatsu, because Bisky has reached like a very high tier level of power, all without using her Hatsu ability to strengthen herself. Just using like the raw basics at an advanced level, Bisky's able to beat like a lot of the verse. And in the data books, she has equal stats to Crollo. The data books do have like flaws in them though, but that is something that should be noted. Like they have Crollo and Bisky in the exact same tier, and Bisky is stated to be an ultimate level Nen user with her Hatsu ability. So she's super cracked. It's just like she chose a Hatsu ability that was dumb. Like it does not make her any stronger at all. Like, so I don't know. It's pretty much like the Tsunade, kind of similar to the Tsunade thing. Like she used her ability just to look younger. So yeah. But I mean, her ability works well on like teammates. It's a good support ability because you can get like a full 8 hours of sleep in like 30 minutes. And you can kind of create a hyperbolic time chamber for your teammates using that ability. Like you can get like 3 days worth of training in a single day. So I'm just going to keep scrolling through the comments. Okay. I'm going to scroll to the very bottom because I know there's a lot of new ones. Way to Dawn said data books are not by Togashi and is proven contradictory to the manga. Are they really not by Togashi? I didn't even know that. Okay. And Strax said thoughts on Bisky versus Uvogin poll. I think I did that in the past, and I think Uvogin won that poll. I would say, like, well, I would go ahead and say, like, Bisky's a more skilled Nen user, but, like, she's, like, a straight-up close-range fighter. Someone like Uvogin might be a bad matchup for her, but I don't know. That would actually be a really interesting fight. I think she would be, like, the same thing that Karapika was doing to 50% Uvogin, like, speed blitzing and slapping him around. I think Bisky would be capable of doing that, too. I think Bisky's I think Uvogin's going to need to use his 100% power to beat her. And if, like, Bisky, like, goes full power from the start, she could beat Uvogin before Uvogin goes full power, maybe. But it's like, I don't know. It is a really interesting fight. Something, like, I'm going to make a short on this, maybe tomorrow. But in the manga, there's a panel at the end of Greed Island where an ultimate level exorcist looks at Gon and Killua, and he's like, these two have gotten way stronger since they first entered this island, but they're both still weaker than Genthru. The only way they could have beaten him was using a plan. And I think some translations say Gon and Killua were weaker than the minions too. Like the minion that, like, Bisky one-shot, like, they both might have been stronger than Gon and Killua, and the only way they were able to win was because they created plans. And if you, like, analyze Killua's fight against Genthru's goon, it kind of implies that too. Like, Killua straight up says the goon had way more aura than he did, and Killua couldn't even hurt him in, like, direct combat. So, like, every move he did was planned out in advance. And plans are a huge buff in Hunter x Hunter, to the point where people like Gon could beat someone like Genthru on his own, even though Genthru was, like, a tier above him. Like, Genthru was, like, relative to Knuckle, and Gon won in a 1v1. Just because of, like, having a plan. Okay, so, but I think Knuckle would beat Genthru, though. But it wouldn't be, like, an easy fight. It's kind of a dangerous fight for Knuckle. Okay, I'm just scrolling through looking for, like, more questions. Colin said, do we know exactly how Pain Packer works? Yeah, it's based on, like, the damage he takes. Like, the more damage he takes, the stronger Pain Packer becomes. It's like a conditional Nen ability. And he has different kinds. We don't really know what triggers the different kinds. Maybe it's different kinds of injuries trigger different kinds of Pain Packer. So maybe there's, like, different elements. So, like, that one he did was a flame. Maybe he has, like, an ice one or a lightning one. He could have a bunch of different things. We don't really know. Isaiah said, an ultimate Nen master is a pinnacle of his abilities. Yeah, that's true. Like, I've seen different translations on that. Like, there's this one databook thing that lists all of the ultimate, like, Nen users. And it's like Netero's an ultimate enhancer, Bisky's an ultimate maybe conjurer or manipulator. I forget which one she is. That one black dude was an ultimate exorcist from Greed Island. And I forget the other ones. But wait, was Zeno an ultimate emitter? Zeno might have been an ultimate emitter. But I've seen some people say that, like, the translation of it means, like, to be ultimate means you've reached the maximum of your potential in your Hatsu field. I've seen some people say that. So, like, I don't know. It's interesting to just talk about. Like, basically people are saying just because you're an ultimate enhancer doesn't necessarily mean you're more skilled than the person one rank below ultimate enhancer. Like, Netero's an ultimate enhancer and Uvogin's a genius enhancer, for example. All of the royal guards are ranked genius as well. Like, genius is the tier right below ultimate in that data book. Oh, actually, and I think Merowyn was an ultimate emitter. I think so. But I could be wrong on that. Enslaved manga, Razor versus who would be top tier fight? Like, who would be a close fight for Razor? Kite and Razor were really close in power. I might make a video on that one in the future. And who else is close to him? Like, Razor versus Kurapika would be interesting. I might do that as a poll and see what people think on that. That would actually be really interesting. Razor versus Kurapika. Kurapika's cracked. Also, I think, honestly, I really think Hisoka was underestimating all of the Zodiac members because he was looking at them, giving them just a ranking out of 100. I'm pretty sure he was just, like, the interpretation I got from that is that he was just measuring their total aura, but he wasn't really taking into account, like, their battle experience, what their Nen ability could be, because all of those guys are sparring partners for Netero. Actually, this is a good question for you guys. So, all of the Zodiac are stated to be sparring partners for Netero. Do you think Netero was using his Hatsu when he sparred with them, or do you think he was just like fighting them without Hatsu? Because if every Zodiac member can withstand Netero's Hatsu and like hold their own 1v1, then that means all of the Zodiac are just insane. And also, I do think, like, the highest ranking Zodiac, you could make a good argument that some of them were already stronger than Netero, just based on, like, how they accepted this mission in the Dark Continent like it was no big deal. Like, so many of the Zodiac members, like, they all know that they're going on a mission to defeat beings stronger than Netero, and they're like, all right, yeah, we'll do it. Like, no hesitation, nothing. They're like, all right, we'll be good. We'll survive it. So I don't know, it's interesting, but I think the top 3 like strongest Zodiac members might all be stronger than Netero. It's very possible. Dova said probably some, but not all. Yeah, it's possible, man. Pete said, do you think any of the Zodiac can have a stronger Hatsu ability than Chrollo or Feitan? Oh yeah, 100%. Jing for certain. Jing might low diff Chrollo, to be really honest with you. He might low diff him. Because, like, Chrollo held his own fighting Zeno and Silva at the same time, but something to, like, that I realized is, like, it's very likely Chrollo went into that fight with prep time, because he knew ahead of time that they were going to, like, try and kill him. Like, that he knew to the point where he hired Illumi to assassinate the Ten Dawn. So he knew for a little while, had like some prep time going into the fight. And I really think like that's why he survived. But yeah, because I think like Chrollo on his own is like just about dead even with Zeno, but like his abilities, the unknown nature of his abilities, like gives him a slight advantage. But like Zeno and Silva are not even top 5 Nen users, neither of them. They're not even stated to be top 10 Nen users. Meanwhile, Jing has been a top 5 Nen user for a while. And top 5 could be like anything within 5 is possible. So Jing could be like number 4, he could be number 3. You know, we don't know. He's just somewhere in the top 5. Okay. Yeah, I think that might be everything I go over for these comments for now. So let me look at these top comments here in the poll. So in the poll, yeah, Kite won pretty overwhelmingly. I thought this would actually be much closer. I thought it would be like 60-40 or something, but or maybe like 55-45 something. But we have Sebagrel. He said, this one is actually pretty close. We don't know much about either of them. I say Feitan wins because his Pain Packer is too strong, but I also think that a reincarnated Chimera Ant Kite would easily win. It just seems like in this case it's just a regular boy Kite. So yeah, like I think the new Kite a Chimera Ant as well? Like if so, he might come back super strong. Feitan Hatsu is based on collecting pain to make him stronger. Kite Hatsu is based on killing his enemies in the most fast and efficient way possible. Kite wins. It's a good point. And that was stated by Larry. The Geo says, oh, this is a little long. Hold on. Feitan probably has the edge in both speed and strength. Let's keep going. He's saying he's a transmuter. Kite's a conjurer. He would have an advantage in direct encounters. Let me see. He said this fight could go either way, especially since we've never learned about the rest of Kite's roles. But based on what we do know, I give the overall edge to Feitan. So yeah, a lot of the top comments were saying they think Feitan, but like Kite won the poll, which is interesting. And Williamson says Kite with his scythe would have killed Feitan in a blink. That's possible. I don't really know if Feitan could survive that. Maybe with his Pain Packer armor on. And this person was saying kind of the same thing I was saying. Like, each one of his weapons, it's kind of perfect for the moment. When he says bad roll, it might be more of a ritual. That's an interesting take. Bromus, let's see. He said Kite has better feats, probably better experience, though he thinks he's actually younger. A more reliable Hatsu, and Feitan doesn't have much to argue for him in this fight. If Feitan can land Rising Sun, it'd beat Kite, but if he gets hit by Silent Waltz, for example, like his scythe, it's just instant death. He can probably take a few hits of the carbine. I think that's the like sniper rifle. The mace wand thing isn't useful. It's implied to just reincarnate Kite. And I imagine that any of the other tools are just as useful in crazy slots. Yeah, I wish we got to see all 9 of them. I wish that like Togashi put out a page that listed all of them. But all right, I think that's all I will go through for today. Neo said, is Lilo's reading this chat at all? Yes. I was just kind of like going back and forth. Wait, did I miss one of your questions, Neo? You said that's why Abin Gane is ultimate, but he's not beating any other ultimate. Oh, because it's like them maximizing their potential, essentially. Did I miss anything else from you? Okay. Well, yeah, I think that's just about everything I wanted to cover. Before I head out, did anyone have any like last minute questions? Charlotte Katakuri said, do you think Kite still has the same Hatsu? That's a good question, dude. So isn't there like a panel where the reincarnated Kite is swinging around a sword? I think there was. And did Kite ever use a sword? Like, it's interesting. Like, maybe one of Kite's abilities is a sword. It would be interesting to see, like, what his other roles are. But, he has his same memories from when he was an adult. He might remember, like, all of his old Hatsus, but, and, like, your Hatsu is based on your personality, right? He seems to have the same personality. I wonder if, like, the new body he's in affects his personality in any way. But so far, he seems to be the exact same person, so I think he would have the same abilities. He might have less aura, though, like, overall total aura capacity, because he's a child. Neil, you said he used the sword in the first chapter. Like, so I know in the manga, like, chapter 1, they show Kite. Did they show him, like, with a sword there, too? That would be sick. Pete says, does staying up to 3 a.m. scare you? No. No, dude, I'm on spring break right now, man, so my sleep schedule is pretty much non-existent. Yeah. Isaiah said, yo, Lilos, do you have a Discord group? Oh, yeah, I do have a Discord. Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can just, like, paste the link. So, like, I have a Discord group, and, like, it's pretty fun in there, bro. Like, people just go in there and, like, debate different manga and anime stuff. It's been pretty cool so far. Let me see if I can just add the link. I'm copying this link. Hold on, let me edit this one so that it never expires. Or maybe, hold on, maybe I'll make this like a link that expires in 7 days. We'll do that. Okay. But I'll add the main link to the description of this video. But I'm about to post Hold on, just making sure that I got the right link. Yeah. Okay, I'm about to post the Discord link in the chat. Ooh. Okay, so yeah, that's the like group Discord. So if you ever want to like debate any anime with like me or like any of the other people in there, then feel free to hop in there and like debate away. We also like I also want to use that for gaming, like gaming with people, and just doing live streams in general. Like I just hop in there and like yap sometimes. So yeah, so that's the Discord there. Feel free to join and debate things if you'd like. There was something else I was gonna say, but I don't even remember. But yeah, oh, a lot of people that you see like in the top comments a lot, like Bromus, he's in there. Yeah, a lot of people that like you see regularly in the videos are already in the Discord. It's pretty cool. Neo says he's in there. Yeah, a bunch of people are in there. It's pretty fun in there. But yeah, I think that's everything I was gonna go over today, you guys. I want to do another live stream, bro. Like, I use my live streams for like experimental videos that I wouldn't post as like a full-fledged video. Like the power scaling part's done. Now it's just into yap portion. Kona is also there. Like this live stream, for example, this is the kind of thing I would want to post as a video, but would probably never actually do it because I just don't think people would watch it as much as they would watch a power scaling video based on like Netero or Gon and Killua or the Phantom Troupe as a whole, for example. It's like Kite is a beloved character, but like not to the point of like any of the other people I just mentioned. So if I made a video just power scaling Kite, I fear that it would be a lot of time for like a low reward, and it would be better to do it as a live stream basically. But like branching off of that, I also want to do like video game power scaling in live streams. So like I wanted to do a video where I just analyze the player count numbers of different video games and compare like fighting video games and compare them. Because it gives you like a really interesting scale on like how well a game is doing, how well a game's received. Like, for example, something I want to talk about in detail is Sparking Zero, the Dragon Ball Z video game, and just like talk about how it's doing compared to where it started, and then compare that to a bunch of other video games, and then just give like an honest analysis on the game. I want to do that. I might do that like, if not tonight, maybe tomorrow, and maybe save it to just members only. I'm not really sure. Usually any video game related stuff I save to members only, but like I just find myself doing that a lot, like analyzing like player count data for video games and like kind of power scaling it in my mind. And I'm like, you know what? I should just make a video on it. It'd be fun. Neo said, what kind of games? So yeah, mainly I want to scale like Sparking Zero. I want to scale Street Fighter. I want to scale like Dark Souls games, stuff like that. I might do that. Might even do it tonight because I like have been looking at all these numbers and was just thinking of doing that. Yeah, you said game design, power scaling, pretty much. Like I just want to talk about like so there's certain trends you start to notice, like certain games are able to retain like 30, 40, 50% of their player base for years, and then other games lose almost all of their player base immediately. And then you can look at like the features that a game has and figure out like, okay, what are the main things keeping people playing? And like just talking about that, analyzing that is like a fun, entertaining thing that I've been doing like on my own free time. And I was just thinking, you know what, I might as well just put that in a live stream and yap about it. And I might like put like just analysis of the game in general in that. That's what I'm thinking about doing. Naruto Uzumaki said, do you think Saitama is unaffected by reality manipulation after the redraw? So I'm not sure if I've seen the redraw. I mean, I read Saitama versus Garo, like both versions of it. Is that what you're referring to? I'm not sure. But I do know that Saitama has some crazy feats. to the point where I'm starting to understand why people call him a gag character, because it seems like no matter how strong his opponent is in his verse, he just becomes strong enough to one-shot them eventually. That seems to be the continuous gag. But Saitama himself actually does have like a semblance of a power scale to him. He's just super cracked. Ark, how's your day going, man? Dude, it's been a good day, bro. It's been a very good day. It's been a wild day. Had a long road trip today. Like, I'm on spring break and I went on like a 9-hour drive this morning, coming back from this trip, and then just started streaming. It's been a good day. But all right, guys, I think that's enough yapping for now. I might do another live stream where I'm doing that video game scaling stuff. And the next video I'm posting, it's going to be Netero versus the Phantom Troupe. And in that one, I want to go in more detail, like power scaling the Phantom Troupe, like just showing like how strong they are. And I also want to talk about a composite Phantom Troupe, where like, what if you took all of the strongest members and had them all together? How powerful would that be? So I'm going to talk about all that stuff in the Netero versus Phantom Troupe video. And I think that I can get that posted this weekend. I also reached out to Restless Gambler, the YouTuber Restless Gambler. I want to do a live stream with him again, power scaling all of the first grade sorcerers in Jujutsu Kaisen, going in detail about how strong they are, because they are pretty cracked, and I want to do a live stream with him talking about that. Definitely go sub up to him if you guys haven't already. He has some great videos. Isaiah said, last question also, do you think Jing can beat the 100 type Guanyin's millions of combinations like Meruem against Netero? Well, Jing is a super genius, like even beyond Gon and Killua, it seems. I actually think like Gon and Killua will reach Jing's level of genius and eventually surpass it, but like Jing is like Gon's genius and Killua's analytical skills mixed into one, plus he's 34. So it's like Jing is just a different level in everything. I think like once Gon and Killua are both 34, they'll be stronger than what Jing is right now, but it'll take like they need to train a lot. But I actually lean towards thinking Jing would beat Netero. Like super high diff. But it's more just based off of like narrative stuff, because we don't even know if Netero himself is a top 5 Nen user anymore. He just straight up said that it's been 60 years since he was number 1. Like someone surpassed him 60 years ago, and he's done nothing but like get weaker and weaker since. And Jing is somewhere in the top 5. Like it's very possible that these two are like even to each other, or like Jing's a little bit stronger. Not to mention like Jing is still getting stronger, like continuously getting stronger, because he's like gearing up to go to the Dark Continent. I just think like Jing, if he's not stronger than Netero already, he's extremely close, and then like by the end of the Dark Continent he'll be in a completely different tier than Netero. And another like way of viewing it is like Prime Netero himself said that the Dark Continent was too much, but Jing is like going down there and like wants to scrap. Like I don't know. It's interesting to like think about that, but I really hope we can see Jing fight more. I really hope. I really hope we can get like another like 50 chapters of Hunter x Hunter, and we can like the stuff I really want to see, man. I want to see Gon like use Nen again, and like just become like super strong. I want to see Jing fight. I want to see a time skip where Gon and Killua are like 17. With just crazy powers. I want to see Gon and Killua go to the Dark Continent, and train with Jing. These are all things I want to see. And I want to see Kurapika fight the 4th Prince. I think if we had another 100 chapters of Hunter x Hunter, all that stuff could happen. But I don't know. Okay. All right, guys. So that's everything for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. I might do another live stream just yapping about video games. But I'm not 100% certain yet. But if I don't do stuff like that tonight, then probably tomorrow I'll do it. But all right, guys, that's everything I wanted to talk about. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the stream.